Also, you're not limited to looping through arrays of single elements. You can also loop through arrays which hold objects, or you can also loop through objects. Let me show you. Above this template here, since this really populates the whole field, I'll enter some new code, a horizontal line above and below so that we can clearly see it. Here, I want to output an unordered list with a list item, obviously, where I will use my for loop as before. Now I want to loop through persons, so I will loop through person in persons, and then I could output person, referring to this person variable created by Vue.js automatically here, since I named it like that, person.name, for example. If I hit enter, we see Max and Anna here. That should be straightforward. It's the same usage as before, just using objects now, but since I access the properties there like I always do, there's nothing special about that. Now let's say I don't want to use this default loop, but instead I want to loop through all the key value pairs in that object, like in a for in loop in normal JavaScript. Let's say I want to create a span for each key value pair, and here I can use a nested for loop with v-for. I can nest them as much as I want. And then looping through it is as simple as extracting the value in persons. So in person, excuse me. So person here refers to the person up here in the outer loop, since I gave it that name, and we're in this current iteration since we're in that specific list item. And value, well, that name was chosen by me, but it will automatically be the value of each property. So I could output value here, just like that. If I now hit Control Enter, we see max 27 red, not very nicely formatted, but you do see that these are the values of all the properties of these persons here. So that is how we can loop through properties of objects. Now, as with arrays, where we could also retrieve the index, for looping through objects, we can also not only retrieve the value of a property, but by adding parentheses, also the key. As with arrays, the ordering here is important. The names of these variables which are created automatically are chosen by me. I could also name this v and k, just like that. But the order is important. The first one, and if you don't add parentheses, the only one as before, will always be the value of the property. The second one, key in this case, will be the name of the property, the key name. So I could say key, colon, and then the value. And if I now hit enter, you see it looks a little bit nicer. If we make this a div instead of a span, well, then we clearly can see name, age, color for all the persons. So now we're looping through all the key value pairs, extracting both key and value. Value again is the first element though. And then outputting it here by using the variable names we chose between the parentheses. Finally, if we also want to get the number of the iteration, we can access the index by passing a third kind of argument here, so adding a third variable between the parentheses. This will be simply the index of the current iteration. So here I can finally then output in parentheses after the value here, for example, between curly braces, as always, the index, like that. Fortunately, a bit hard to read. That should make it easier. So if I hit enter a final time, well, we see the index here, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, as we loop through the property or the key value pairs in our objects here. That is the v-for loop. Keep in mind, using all these fields here between the parentheses is optional. You can always go with the default by just extracting one element, which in the case of looping through objects happens to be the value, and in the case of normal arrays happens to be the element value. So always the value basically. But you can extend it with parentheses to get more information out of the object you're looping through.